podcast. Anything that you want, no, we got that. Sports, we got that. Joke, we got that. And we just getting started, so don't turn me down, stop that. From LA all the way to the A. Maddie and Cohen got so many things to say. Switching up the topic quick as I switch up the flow. So make sure you pay attention. Okay, ready, here we go. It's the Daily Degenerate. Daily Degenerate. Welcome to the Daily Degenerate. Daily Degenerate. Daily Degenerate. Welcome to the Daily Degenerate. Daily Degenerate. Daily Degenerate. Welcome to the Daily Degenerate. Daily Degenerate. Daily Degenerate. Welcome to the Daily Degenerate.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, welcome to an extremely special episode, installment of the Daily Degenerate podcast. We are smack dab in the middle of doing 32 teams and 32 episodes. This one is very close to my heart. Not only am I interviewing my friend Devin, we are talking about my Atlanta Falcons. If you listen to this podcast, you know that I love to talk about the Falcons. I could do it all day. And guess what? Today's the day to do it. The 2020 season preview of the Atlanta Falcons with my friend Devin Wills. Me and Devin went to high school together. We went to Salt Lake City with DECA together, a club, marketing, kind of like FBLA. Me and Devin have known each other for a long time, and Devin is the only person that I know in real life who goes to more Falcons games than I do. And check this, he actually has to sit through them sober. He doesn't have to. He made the choice to. I don't know how he does it, because the cardiac attack Falcons, he does it completely sober. God bless your soul. Devin, introduce yourself to the folks.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me, my friend. What an intro right there. My name is Devin Wills, and I'm the president of A&W Contracting, which is a roofing company here in Atlanta. I'm also a real estate investor and, of course, a Atlanta Falcons fan. It's as hard as that is sometimes.
As hard as it is. The team that is consistently known for fielding the best rosters but getting the least out of them.
Yep.
Devin, before we get into it, talk about that Super Bowl. I know you and your dad went to that Super Bowl, and that was probably the worst moment of our lives to be Falcons fans.
So, for me, that was the best 3 quarters of my life.
Yeah.
It was, and so my dad, I got a picture of him right here. We went to Falcons games all the time together. That was what we did. My first game was a Saints game in 2009, the Pro Bowl season of Michael Turner, who I've met and became friends with and signed some jerseys. So my dad got me into the Falcons game real early, and going to that Super Bowl was just amazing. You know, we're up in the bleeds, 4 rows from the blimp. Falcons fans going crazy. We're hammered. That was back when I was drinking.
Yeah.
And man, you know, we're talking smack, and we got the Patriots fans in front of us, and my dad's getting loud and rowdy. He could barely stand after the first quarter. And then I think it was Robert Alford who hit that pick 6 before halftime.
Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
On Tom Brady. And our section goes bananas, and it's 28. It's like, I think it's 21-3 or 28-3 at that point. And I mean, we couldn't even believe it. I mean, that was just the best season ever. And then my dad, he just had, when they came back and they scored that first touchdown, he had a weird feeling in his gut. Like, my dad he just knew, and he loved Tom Brady at the time. He was a big fan. I mean, you can't hate the guy.
I was about to say, like, as much as I hate the Patriots and their success, the way their team is built and Bill Belichick and all that, I do love and respect the Patriots.
Oh yeah, you have to, and that was just, I remember witnessing it. It's like, the way I tell people is like, it's like you got married to the woman of your dreams, and she's perfect in every way, and then on wedding day she runs away with your best friend.
Yep,
that's exactly what it was. I remember it was when they were about to win on the final drive. Me and my dad started walking out. He said, "Devin, I will not watch this." And we walked out, and we're outside of the stadium. The game's still playing. You see the fireworks happen, and then me and my dad start crying.
And then you knew what happened. You knew after all that momentum, there was no way that the Falcons could fend them off.
There's no way. I mean, he was getting pissed. You know, he was cussing out Kyle Shanahan, and like, he should have ran the damn ball. And it's just, you know, heck, they could have just kneeled it.
Literally, you had a higher chance of winning that game if you would have kneeled the ball the last 3 possessions.
Yeah. And
then punted the ball back to him.
Yeah. It just, I couldn't even believe it. And it just, I remember the next day, it was like almost like I lost like a brother. I was just so depressed. Me and my dad we were hammered. We didn't even have a hotel room. We just got drunk, and we were crying, and we were blacked out on the airplane ride, and everybody on the plane's just all sad.
And you can't say anything, like it's just
can't
like
say a damn thing.
There's nothing that you could say to me that makes me feel better. There's nothing I could say to you that makes you feel better. There's nothing you could say that rationalizes the whole thing. It was just the New England Patriots happened. I remember, you remember Jeremy Quin from high school, right?
Yeah.
He was a year ahead of us. His fraternity had rented out Dive Bar in Buckhead because I'm sure the owner is an alumni or something from their frat. And they rented it out. It was just us in there. And everybody started saying, plan the parade. And me and Jeremy, we didn't really think they were going to come back. We were just saying that just to be paranoid. We're like, yo, come on now. It's the Patriots. Come on.
Right.
We didn't think it could actually happen. We didn't. I was really just saying that just to protect myself. I knew that there was an outside
you don't want to be
chance
cocky.
always. Yeah, it could be cocky.
Yeah.
Look at what it got us. We were saying out loud, don't say that. Don't plan the parade. Yeah, we still hadn't won the game yet, but in your heart, you're like, oh, dude, there's no way we can lose this.
Because it's Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Him or Aaron Rodgers, you have to take that into effect. Any given Sunday, they can win that game.
Yep. And that was, in my opinion, I've watched the game enough now, the replay of the game, because I'm big on that, even outside of quarantine. I'll sit here and I'll watch old Falcons games to relive the happiness, to say this was our best team ever. And I've watched that game enough to where I'll never watch it again. I've seen enough. I'll never watch it again. I've purged it out of my system. But in my opinion, that was the best Super Bowl in recent memory for the NFL, for a national sports.
Because it was, isn't it, as a hardcore long-term Falcons fan, that is typical Falcons.
That was the representation of the Falcons.
Of the Falcons. But what I do is I watched that game probably 10 times. The Julian Edelman catch was just stupid. And then you watch all the other stuff, and then Julio was balling in that game, which is crazy. But my favorite was the NFC Championship. I have to watch that after I watch the Super Bowl just so I can.
So talk yourself off the ledge.
Yeah, I got to leave myself on a high note, and for me the Super Bowl, even though we lost in such a horrendous fashion, for me that was the last game me and my dad went to before he had a heart attack and passed away. So for me, the experience in a whole is so positive for me because we got who gets to go to a Super Bowl. Me
too. And the way that I tell people is whenever someone says, "Oh, the Falcons are trash. You guys blew the biggest lead."
Yeah.
I just sit there and tell it. Well, we were still playing in the game while your team was sitting.
We
on
were
the
there
couch watching us. We were still one of the best two teams in the NFL. And no, that doesn't save anything. But I'm glad. I would rather go to a Super Bowl and lose than not go to one at all.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I'm always a glass half full guy. I don't think you can make it worse. That's the worst ways you could lose. So they've got it out of the way under this coaching staff, and moving forward, maybe the ceiling's the only way that you can go up.
So, Devin, we get some new uniforms. You were telling me in the bullpen that you liked them, and you actually share one of the unpopular opinions with me. A lot of people hate the gradient jerseys. I actually kind of like them. The gradient jerseys are actually kind of cool.
I do. I actually like Marlon Davidson. They put a picture of him in the gradient. He made the gradient look good.
Big body, the hand in the dirt.
The smaller waist but the big V shape. I thought it fits really well. And so at first, just like anything else, I looked at the jerseys. I saw them leaked. Yeah. And I was like, I don't like them. Didn't like them at all. And then I saw the all white. I saw Deion Jones and I saw Matt Ryan in the all black, like with the jersey you're wearing. And I was like, okay, I like these. And then when I saw the all white with the red pants, I was
those are hard.
Like, that's gonna be the first jersey I get. And the gradient one, I warmed up to it because I like in the pictures it didn't look that good, but in person it looks really good.
So I told myself because whenever the Rams logo got leaked, I thought about how shitty that was, not just the logo, but getting it leaked. And I told myself, I was like, if the Falcons jerseys get leaked, I'm not going to look for them. I'm going to wait until the official release to see them. That way I'm not tainted by anybody's opinion. But whenever they did get leaked,
they come up on your feed. I saw everybody hate them, and it kind of got me thinking,
it did.
Man, are these ugly?
I was the same exact way. I was like, these aren't that ugly, are they? And then everybody was like, oh my God, fuck these. And then I was like, they're not that bad. And then I finally started warming up to them.
Yeah. Well,
once you hear
and then
that negative connotation at first, your mindset is already
it primed
fabricated.
It primed you and made you think maybe I'm the outsider. Maybe I think they look good, but everyone thinks they're ugly. And then I saw the actual players, not the models in them, but the players. Yeah. I was like, yeah, these are hard.
Yeah,
these are nice.
You said you're gonna get a Ricardo Allen one first.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna get that white Ricardo Allen, and then I might go with the black Matty Ice one. I like his jersey. I like two also.
Yeah. I like the jerseys a lot. I think that with the new jerseys, we could have got hit with a Rams type situation. Where it was ugly. So I didn't feel any problems with our old jerseys. I felt like the old jerseys were still fine for a few years. But with the new jersey, I'm glad that we didn't get the Rams treatment. So it's an overall win.
And the question is, do these jerseys run the ball when you're 25 points up in the Super Bowl?
Not with the Falcons, they don't.
If they do that, I will buy everything.
Oh, dude, you can put me out there in tidy whities, but if we just run the ball effectively, we won. So, Devin, this is a different offseason than we are used to expecting with the Falcons. In that term, aggressive. We're not used to going out and throwing money at guys like Dante Fowler, and we're not used to bringing in big names like Todd Gurley. We'll talk about the additions of those guys a little bit later, but let's talk about last year. Started off the season 1-7, was absolutely embarrassing. And to put it in perspective, that first game against the Vikings, I went over to Jeremy's house, and I'm big into gambling, so I went and put $500 on the Minnesota Vikings to beat us week 1. Because I knew you just know what's going to happen. You know the identity of this team. And then the very next week, when we got that win in Philadelphia, started the season 1-1 and then lost 6 straight, I went and put $200 on the Eagles to win. And then guess what? The Falcons won that game. So the Falcons are just the most inconsistent type.
Yeah.
And this to me goes on the coaching staff. Our coaching staff is so flip-flop. Our coaching staff is so weird and wiry and inconsistent that they actually do embody what the Falcons are about.
They're perfect. They're perfect for the organization.
We went 1-7 in the first 8 games, and we went 6-2 in the next 8 games. But the quality of opponents we played in the second half of the season was way higher than the quality of opponents we played in the first half.
It's just like the Georgia weather.
Yeah,
it's just so inconsistent. But,
I wanted to just. How are you guys losing games against the Tennessee Titans? Granted, the Tennessee Titans had a good playoff run, but we lost to the Tennessee Titans when Mariota was still starting. Yeah. He was benched the very next week, and we let Marcus Mariota look like Kyler Murray in college on us.
He was running like 120.
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
And this is just the frustrating thing is, you guys go and beat the Saints on the road or the first team in the Drew Brees era to not allow a touchdown in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. But then you lose to the Arizona Cardinals because Matt Bryant can't make a PAT.
Yeah. Well, and the fact is, so when you look at the stats, like we were giving up 31 points a game. And they were 30th in the league in defense. It just
didn't have a sack for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, and then you had what was it in the first 6 of the 8 games? The QBs had 120 QBR rating, like averaging.
Yeah.
And then the next 8 weeks, Jameis Winston was the only one to break 100. And you're right. The
Welcome
level
to
of
Atlanta.
play was so much better. I love the 49ers game.
Me too.
I just absolutely love that game. And even with the Minnesota game, so. My grandpa is a hardcore Vikings fan.
Really?
So, hardcore. And every year we go to the Vikings game. I take him there. We play in that when I went to the Falcons game. And then going into the season, I'm sure you heard the chatter, loaded offense. They should rebound. We got Julio Jones in his prime. Matt Ryan, defense ready to make a splash. Neal's healthy. Like we were poised to be a playoff contender, even a Super Bowl contender.
Yep.
Anytime I do this as a Falcons fan or anybody, we go into these games, and I expected we were gonna give it to the Minnesota Vikings. Boy, was I wrong. That whole game, the first drive, we got sacked, forced fumble, punted it away. So, blocked a punt. It was just a horrible beginning of the game, and it set the tone for the season.
It did. Going down 21-0 to Minnesota in the first quarter and a half of the season was just really just deafening for the rest of our season. And you said you're a glass half full kind of guy. I am definitely a glass half empty kind of guy. I'm definitely a pessimist, and you can call it realism, you can call it whatever you want, but I usually look for the negative side of things to try to find something to improve. and I had a feeling we were going to lose that Minnesota game, but the season as a whole, I felt pretty decent about. I felt like we were going to, come and actually put it on some teams and beat the teams we should beat, and
Tennessee,
yeah,
Houston,
Arizona,
Cardinals.
like come on, dude, like so that's what we get for getting our hopes up.
When will we learn?
We won't. I'll do this until the day that I die, dude. The first actual question I'm going to ask you: what do you think was the reason for the slow start last year, the 1-7 start?
I think Dan Quinn took on more than he could chew. I think when they kept shuffling and firing staff, and he said I think he had a little bit of an ego trip, and he's usually very humble and humility guy, but I think he kind of took on more than he could chew by being defensive coordinator and head coach. Didn't anticipate how much that would take, especially in NFC, how loaded we were.
The NFC is by far the toughest conference. The AFC is a bunch of babies.
Yeah, and they were flip-flopping from a 4-3 scheme to a 3-4 scheme so inconsistently that the defense had zero identity. And you touched on that a little bit. Like this, it's what Georgia kind of is. We're not one way or the other. We're all ways. We snow one day, the next day it's 90 in summer, and that's how the organizations run. And I think that's a lot of the reason. It's just there's no identity on the defense, and it's hard to come back when you're 21 points down.
Yeah, and I like what you said. Dan Quinn usually isn't the kind of guy that has an ego trip, and that's, to me, I am one of Dan Quinn's biggest haters in the world. But one of his redeeming qualities is his ability to keep a locker room together, his ability to rally the guys, his ability to
leader of men
to tell people, hey, I don't think I can handle the defense. I think we should hire this guy. But him taking over the defense, I knew would go bad because we herald this guy as a defensive strategist and an expert, but the Falcons have only had one top 10 defense in his tenure here. Yep. And that was the Super Bowl year when our offense was so gung-ho.
Lights out. They're on the field.
Defenses had to try to be more aggressive to score on us, which led to more turnovers and takeaways for our defense. Yep. So I think that offense was the beneficiary of that good defense. So to me, Dan Quinn really has never put his stamp on this defense except for player personnel.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, you're right. And I think, with when he had the Kyle Shanahan running things, he was the head coach. And his defensive coordinators kind of running things, and he took a step back and just led. He's a great leader, great motivator, personnel, great. And he does very well with picking matchups and everything, but when he delegates. He took on two more than he can chew, and I think that was why you saw that.
The 2-game stretch when Jeff Ulbrich first took over, when we went to New Orleans and then didn't allow a touchdown, and then we went to Carolina and beat them like 40 to 9 or something like that.
Yes, beautiful game.
That's how you knew what this team could be. That was the most frustrating part. Is we waited 9 games to do this. I mean, that is our gripe. It's not if we just had a bad team, I wouldn't be this mad. I wouldn't be like, we just can't hang with these guys. We went and beat San Francisco on the road in a game where we should have won by 10, 15 points.
Yeah.
We went and beat New Orleans, blew them out on the road, and I don't know if people forget, they were playing that whole game out. Drew Brees took the final snap of the game on the field. They were trying to score a touchdown in garbage time.
Yeah, they were.
So that's the most frustrating part with Dan Quinn, with the coaching staff, with the Falcons as a whole, is that we can't get consistent play from week to week, nonetheless season to season.
Yeah.
After the slow start, we put it on pretty good. What was your take on trying to win games instead of trying to lose for draft position?
Well, so I love the Raheem Morris move. I really enjoy that, and I still ask the question: why was he on offense for since 2016? I don't know. I understand that. I heard one. I think Dan Quinn said we liked his working with DBs and linebackers in the past.
So he can teach wide receivers what to do.
How to maneuver.
That's too much. That's too extra.
Way too complicated. Yep. So I wondered that, and I mean, he, for being, I think he's 43 or 44.
He's a young guy.
Wealth of experience.
He does. Tampa Bay. I did Tampa Bay last night. Tampa Bay loves Raheem Morris. He was, I think, the youngest head coach in Tampa Bay history. Yeah. He kind of got screwed in Tampa Bay with pretty bad lineups and lack of control with the ownership and stuff like that.
Stability was not there.
But one thing that Tampa Bay fans do is they love Raheem Morris. I think Raheem Morris is a really good coach.
Yeah, Bruce Arians, I saw an interview, was talking about why the Falcons shifted, and it was because Raheem Morris went in there and created an identity and was a voice. And I think just that one part, simple. Dan kind of overcomplicated things. I think he got into his head a lot in the offseason. I mean, and I think a lot of that's from the Super Bowl loss. Yeah. I mean, that's traumatic.
That would keep me up at night, dude. Like, that would make sure that I didn't sleep for the rest of my career.
Yeah, and he's overthinking things. He's doing this and doing that. And I think when they simplified things at the bye week, things got beautiful. But I'm with you. One of the things I wonder is why it took so long, and really just why did it take so long? And then, of course, when they win the first 2 games and then they lose the third game, like there's hope. But when they lose that game to Tampa Bay, I don't know the motivation.
At home that we should have easily won. Vita Vea caught a touchdown in that game. 340-pound Vita Vea caught a touchdown in that game.
So, and that goes back to the underlying issue of people like you and me who are Falcons fans. We get our hopes up after those 2 beautiful games, and we're like, we're going to go to the Super Bowl, we're going to go to the playoffs, we're going to do it, we're back, and then Vita Vea catches a touchdown pass and ruins our hopes. And I'm with you. I'm not a big tanking guy.
Me neither.
I think with what the Dolphins did is actually they created a winning culture, but laid off the gas and put the younger coached them up and gave them looks. And I think that there's a strategic way to do it without purposefully losing.
To me, if you go into a game and do not try to win the game by 40 points, you are a loser. I think creating that losing mentality around your culture and around your locker room isn't bad just for the mindset of your team, but makes it to where free agents don't want to come. If you're a big-name free agent, why would you want to go to a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars who, if the season gets off the rails, they just start losing just to lose?
Yep.
If I'm a free agent, I only go to teams with a tough locker room mentality, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the New England Patriots.
I love how they play.
No matter how bad or good those teams are, they're never embarrassed. They're never run over. They're always tough. They always try to win. I thought Coach Tomlin should have won Coach of the Year with what he did with the Steelers last year. That was one of the most under-talented rosters in the entire NFL, and to take them
they were winning.
To take them to almost a wild card berth is magical.
No, I'm with you, and I wonder about that. I mean, it's like the Last Dance. I'm sure you've been watching that. Michael Jordan's mentality is, if you're not going out there to win, what are you doing out there?
What are you doing? You're just playing the game.
Yeah, and I think you can create a culture I think the Dolphins are going to be a team with the culture they're creating, where they are losing games, but they're giving their younger guys good looks. They're doing it in a strategic way where they're thinking long-term winning, and you can do that, short and long-term winning. And I think the Falcons could have benefited from maybe putting in younger guys, trying to create depth, get some good looks, and still try to win with those guys and create that winning mentality. But I'm a little split on it. I'm not sure where I stand with that, but it would have been nice to see that.
The reason that I'm split on it, kind of like you are, me and you kind of have the same sentiment. Picking at 16, now that we've seen who we picked, me and you were both unhappy with the draft pick.
Yeah,
we'll tease that for a little bit later.
Yeah.
It sucks picking at 16. Picking at 16 this year specifically sucked.
Not good.
There was 1 or 2 primo guys left, and they didn't fit our team needs. That's not what I'm mad about. Would I have loved to have the 5th overall pick? Yes. Would a year of losing make that any better? No. So I understand where guys come in and say, you can get that draft position, you can do that, but I also don't want to create a losing culture for my locker room and become a loser. Because even if we don't go to the Super Bowl every year, me and you, we watch the Falcons for actual fun. We watch every game. This is what we do. This is part of our identity is we're Falcons fans. We're sports fans, kind of like just the Braves and everything else too.
Yep.
This is what takes us away from real life and gives us a 4-hour break to where we can have fun and
wind down a little bit,
scream at the TV, and that's our fun. That's what we do. So no, I would never cheer for a team who goes out and purposely tries to lose games. To me, look at the 76ers and the Cleveland Browns. They thought that the process would take a little bit less time than this, but it's been prolonged, and you've created this losing culture in your locker room to where the Cleveland Browns have just now rebounded to where free agents want to come sign there.
Yeah.
So to
Took
me,
a while.
I'm with you. I don't want to tank. even for Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't want to tank. If you want
Yeah.
that pick that damn bad, go and trade for it.
Trade up for it.
Trade up
use,
for it.
use the capital for you got. Maybe make a play. I'm with you, and I think just the winning culture mentality is very important. And there's ways you could not lose, but you can find ways to kind of build up the secondary and build these next guys up and try to see what they can do. And if they don't perform, you might lose the game. But if they do, well, hell, the next generation.
You still tried to go out there and win.
Yeah, put 40
with
on
the 53 guys that you had on the roster.
Yep.
You may have put in the backups, and you're trying to get them experience and stuff like that. But you still went out there with the intention of winning that game.
Yep, 100%.
So, Devin, this is, like I said, one of the weirdest Falcons off seasons I've seen, strictly because of the fact that we went out and tried to get guys in. We go out and we get Dante Fowler. I did not expect to get a big name like that. Outside linebacker. I think he's going to generate a lot of pass rush, and I think he's just good enough in coverage. I think he's better than Devondre Campbell in coverage, so that'll bode well for us. We go out and we get Todd Gurley. Really cheap deal. Me personally, I think that Todd Gurley was a really good move because the Rams are paying him more money to not play for them than we are paying him to play for us.
Yep.
They're paying him $6 or $7 million. We're paying him $5.5 million.
Yeah.
I think that with that 40% carry rate and that red zone heavy kind of looks that he's going to get, I think that even if he only plays in 12 games, which is realistic, which he will not play in all 16 games.
Yeah, he's going to need some load management. I'm sure.
He will not play in all 16 games, and if he does, color me surprised. I think that bringing in Todd Gurley to replace Devontae Freeman, he won't replace his carries, but he will do better on breaking away.
But the efficiency will definitely be there.
Because my big gripe with Devontae Freeman was you would get him out in space, and he would never finish runs. Like, he would always run out of bounds, fall to the ground.
Yeah.
He couldn't finish touchdowns.
Yeah. I like the Todd Gurley move mainly because of the value that we got him for. 5.5, I think is smooth. I think that's a good number for. We didn't overpay for him.
No,
you touched on the Rams overpaying for him not to play there, and I think he brings with him just the Atlanta culture too. And I think just that him being back home is really good for him.
It's going to put asses in seats too because of all these Georgia fans.
Yeah, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. Everyone's doubting him, and I think if he can get just to 80% of where he was. In the red zone, he helps us tremendously because Devontae Freeman was not the answer in the red zone for us.
Devontae Freeman was a bad red zone running back.
Horrible. It's just terrible. And I think Todd Gurley adds him more cuts, even with his knee concerns. I think he's still got a good year or two left in him, potentially at a high level. And I expect him to rebound and be able to catch the ball in the backfield as well. He's pretty good at that. And I think with we'll touch base on the Matt Hennessy pick. I think that helps the Chris Lindstroms and the Caleb McGarry's. I think that O-line will help get him the good looks he needs and the good pass blocking or run blocking.
Yeah, and then so my buddy Brad Meekum, he works for a physical therapy kind of for schools, so he's in like sports medicine, and he came on the podcast whenever Todd first got signed, and he said there's really not much risk to signing Todd Gurley because the knee is riddled with arthritis, and athletic arthritis is one thing that really isn't an end-all, be-all for football players because there's not really a risk of him re-injuring it or injuring it worse. It's just playing with pain and him toughing through it. And Todd Gurley is the kind of guy that will do it and won't mind aching and groaning a little bit after the game so he can carry the ball 5 more times. So that's why I like the move. I think it's really low risk. I think the floor is pretty high because it's still Todd Gurley. You know, like even if it's 10, 12, 15 carries a game, that's still Todd Gurley carrying the football.
Especially if they're in the red zone.
Yep, the red zone. I wouldn't mind him being the red zone only back because the Falcons get in the red zone a lot. We just can't finish and punch.
We just could not finish.
Nope.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. I'm also excited about the 2 new O-linemen we're bringing in. Matt Hennessy, who we drafted in what was it, that 3rd round?
Yep.
3rd round pick.
Temple.
For Matt Hennessy out of Temple. And then we got Justin McCray from the Browns, who as a spot starter, as a swing guy, was really good for them last year.
Yeah.
Matt Hennessy, it says he was a center, and I'm a big sports radio guy. Like I don't listen to podcasts in my car. I listen to sports radio, 99 The Game.
There you go.
They had on his college coach at Temple, and he said, "Look, dude, he's a center, but he's really good at run blocking. He's a really good zone run blocking scheme. You can put him in almost anywhere, preferably the outside, but he can even play inside. So I fully expect Matt Hennessy to try to compete for that either right or
on day
left
one.
tackle. Yep.
Yeah,
because they said that he is a dog. He's a really cerebral player, and Temple has actually produced a good number of O linemen in the NFL in the past 10 years. So I was really excited about that pick in particular.
Yeah, I really like that pick a lot. He had like a clean sheet of 2 years, no sacks allowed, and I think Dan Quin or somebody elaborated, he may be competing for the starting position on day one as the left tackle, and he's great in the zone. I think Todd Gurley is going to really enjoy that guy if he's starting. It's really going to help him get the pass blocking.
And of course,
run blocking, keep doing that.
One more year of Carpenter, McGarry, and Lindstrom. Can only be good for this O-line. Alex Mack, I've been hearing a lot of rumblings that Alex Mack is only going to play for 1 or 2 more years. I don't see that.
I've heard the same.
I know he's old, but I think he has one more contract, whether it be for us or somebody else. I still think Alex Mack has one more contract on his belt. Maybe it's a shorter 3-year deal, but I still think Alex Mack is above serviceable as a center in the NFL. He's no longer the best center in the NFL like he was, but he's, top 5, top 6.
Still up there, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really happy though that they got rid of Wes Schweitzer.
Yeah, me too. The only weird thing to me, and this goes into kind of use of talent and Dan Quinn again, is that these Falcons players that left in free agency, Austin Hooper, Devondre Campbell, Desmond Trufant, Wes Schweitzer, all these guys, they go to other places and they get big deals. Wes Schweitzer got
15 million?
Got $15 million in 3 years to go to the Redskins, and he probably won't even start for them.
Yeah.
So what is the catch? It's like, are we just not utilizing this talent right, or is the rest of the NFL just so bad at scouting talent they'll pay anybody?
Your guess is as good as mine, my friend.
Because Desmond Trufant went and got he
got a good contract,
a big deal for the Lions. And Desmond Trufant, as much as I love Desmond Trufant, and I stuck up for him here in Atlanta, he shouldn't be the best cornerback on your roster. He shouldn't be your starting cornerback. So it's one of these things that, we're glad that we weren't the ones that overpaid some of these guys, and we're glad that we weren't the one who backed up the Brinks truck for them. But why, when they go elsewhere, were they scooped up like that, and why were they given big deals?
Or are we not utilizing them? And I've seen that in the NBA with our Hawks team. You'll see somebody like Jeff Teague or Paul Millsap or Al Horford go to the Celtics or Minnesota, and they thrive, and they just blow up, and they get big contracts. And I don't know if that's the same. Your guess, I'm with you. I wonder if we're not utilizing this talent.
Because I do think that Dan Quinn and Dimitroff are really good eyes for talent. I think they can pick out good football players, but it's this fast and physical system that we're playing in that kind of leaves some room to be desired between athletes and football players. And which goes into what we're talking about, with the very first round pick that we had, A.J. Terrell out of Clemson. In my opinion, I saw 2 or 3 other cornerbacks on the board that I would have rather had. Like the guy whose name I cannot pronounce, who played for he played in the ACC too.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there were 2 more that I would have picked over A.J. Terrell.
Yeah, and so I remember, I think we messaged each other, or we commented on a post, and I was blown away by the pick. Honestly, in terms of, I just didn't expect it. I really thought, and I heard rumblings of them going for Chase Young with no success. I heard them trying to move up. I was really hoping that they would get somebody like a Derek Brown. Yep. I really like Derek Brown, or even just an Isaiah Simmons, because they tend to go to these Clemson players. A.J. Terrell's a Clemson player. Yeah. The Clemson system fits well with us. I know Dan Quinn likes that system. And I really would have liked Isaiah Simmons a lot. I think he would have added a lot of value, and he's versatile. And after they made the pick, I just remember that kid in the national championship in a big game against LSU was getting destroyed, burnt like toast. And then I looked at some of the other film. He was getting blown out by no-name wideouts consistently and getting shrugged off. And I know they like the athleticism. I heard them talk about his 6'1", height and his tackling probably needs some work. Instead of leading with the shoulder, he needs to wrap up. But I think they feel they can mold him. But
a project in the first round, you don't take
exactly
projects in the first round.
Yeah.
You take ready to play players.
20 needs to be ready to play on day one.
Yeah, and I'm not mad because we addressed a team need. We needed a cornerback, but the way that I see it, they're going to leave KZ at safety this year, and they're just going to, kind of fill it in with young quarterbacks. But to me, I would rather you go out and get Isaiah Simmons to play safety and kind of, Mike linebacker, and then with like whatever else he plays, because he played almost every position on defense.
He was playing everything, yeah.
So why not put him at safety? That way you can move KZ back to cornerback. Because I'm not quite sure if you guys remember, but in KZ's rookie year, he led the league in interceptions, or was tied for the league in interceptions.
Yeah, it was up there.
But he was playing cornerback when he was drafted as a safety. So I think KZ could have slid into the cornerback slot, and you could have let Isaiah Simmons come in on day one and play safety with Keanu Neal.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like those two guys. I really liked Isaiah Simmons. I was heartbroken, and he fell too. And I really thought they would have made the move because he fit the scheme. You could use him for plugging and playing him. And we are an injury-prone team. Now, they did address the safety depth and the cornerback depth, and I get that. But I think with an Isaiah Simmons, that's a prime-time player you could add it to the defense and would be first-round, obviously, caliber. I don't know about A.J. Terrell.
A.J. Terrell was not a first-round talent.
No, he could have fell, I believe.
I know there were some guys. I know Schefter was big on him. He was one of the big talking heads that was kind of big on A.J. Terrell. But he was just doing that just to be a devil's advocate because all he wanted to say, he wanted to make the point that the tape in the national championship wasn't as bad as it looked. And I could agree with that because Joe Burrow was putting every throw on the money, but he still wasn't in position to make plays. And A.J. Terrell, to me, was a guy who was graded right at 50th, 51st, 52nd, and our next pick was at 47. I know that there are teams that pick guys that just so we can't get them, but I think he would have been there in the second round. I would have wanted, just like you, I would have wanted the best defensive player available.
On the board.
I didn't want someone who fit our scheme because a lot of these guys who fit our scheme don't work or get hurt too often.
But they're projects.
Yeah,
they're projects, and you spent first-round capital on maybe a 2 or 3 year plan. Dan and Thomas need to win this year, and that touches back on the first point. I mean, they're on the hot seat, and
the hottest seats.
It's burning. They could be in Antarctica and still be really warm.
Yep,
that's a hot seat, and I imagine that they need to make not only the playoffs but even fight for an NFC Championship game to even be considered. I mean, they need to go far with this roster, this talent. I mean, I don't want to look back 10 years and think, wow, that was the greatest roster that never did anything.
And that's how we currently look at the Falcons, and it would just be a shame if that's how we feel 10, 20 years down the road.
Yep.
If the team with the best offense of all time went to the Super Bowl and blew the worst Super Bowl lead of all time, that's the best team that we ever had. That would be sad. That would be truly sad.
And then doesn't make the playoffs until we have to probably be forced to trade a Julio or a Matt Ryan to rebuild. I mean, that keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
It scares me.
So we already talked about our round 3 pick in Matt Hennessy. I think that was a really good pick. But to be quite honest with you, I have even researched a bunch of these guys. A bunch of these guys I'm really not all that excited about, like Michael Walker, linebacker out of Fresno State.
Yeah.
I understand that you're in the 4th round, but I don't want to pick guys who are projects and playing for Fresno State. I'd rather pick a project from an SEC team or an ACC team. That way,
a proven team with good coaching and leadership, and
who just plays. Who, if we watch the tape,
plays quality.
We can see the quality of opponents that they play. I don't want to watch a guy play the Tulane Green Wave. I understand. I love Tulane, but I don't want to watch a linebacker get a sack on a Tulane team that finished like 80th in FBS last year.
Yep.
That's just not really what we're looking for. Like Jalen Hawkins, safety out of Cal. Wasn't a bad pick. His tape looked good.
Yeah, he looks, but even with I like the Marlon Davidson pick.
Me too.
I looked at that one. I like him as a person. I mean, he faced really big adversity when his mother passed him at 16, and I love stories like that. And I think he's a versatile player too. That's athletic, and I mean that size on the outside. They'll probably put him next to Grady Jarrett, but I think for me that was my favorite pick.
Me too.
And I don't know about your thoughts with the punter situation.
Awful
I kind
pick.
of like
You wasted it. You wasted a pick. You still have Matt Allen. You know,
I
like,
know.
you
Well,
will.
I like the person and I like the player, but we only had 5 picks, I believe. We had no.
We had
fifth or
6. We had no 5th or 6th, but we had 2 4s.
Oh yeah, and so I like the punter. I just don't think we should have expended a 7th round pick on a punter when we could have signed him as an undrafted free agent.
And he would have still been there as a UFDA.
100%.
The thing is you've already signed Ryan Allen to an extension in February.
Yeah.
So to bring in another punter to compete for the starting punting job is an absolute loser move, if you ask me. Like, I'm looking at our depth chart right now with the draft picks in it. We only have 4 defensive tackles. That's including depth.
Yep.
We have 2 guys who are bench defensive tackles. I would have rather us spend that 7th rounder on a defensive tackle from a decent school who's a project.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, I like the guy, the punter, really good hang time. But for us to use our 7th on that, I just wasn't a fan of that. And I mean, we have Younghoe Koo, who I'm a big fan of.
Me too.
I like Ryan Allen. And it's almost like to your point, they're trying to get him to compete. It's like the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers thing. They're trying to put a fire under.
You're creating drama and you're creating friction where there needs to be none.
None. That's the last thing the Falcons.
Punters and kickers are like so weird in the head. You can't really mess with kickers and punters like that. Like Matt Bryant, why he was so bad last year because of age, but also because you brought in a Younghoe Koo who was nipping at his heels the whole time, so you got in Matt Bryant's head. Kickers are like chess players. You know, you just got to leave them alone and then let them do their thing. Kickers
100%.
and punters are not football players. They're kickers and punters.
I think what they did was a disgrace to his legacy. I mean, the fact that he couldn't retire. Now, he brought him back. Well, you know, I just hated how his departure ended. It was just a bad way for someone like him to go out. I was very sad.
He was the highest scoring Falcon of all time, and he still may hold that crown depending on how many more touchdowns Matt Ryan throws. I was not a fan of bringing him back in the last year. To me, that's one of those things where you're like, look, dude, it's time to turn the page. We're willing to give you a very, very, very graceful exit. We're willing to keep your dignity intact. We're willing to give you the nice video in the first game. Thank you, Matt Bryant, for all you've done.
Yep.
That's going to be the end of it. To watch him miss so many kicks last year and to taint his legacy like that was just an absolute
You should not,
disgrace.
as an organization, you should not let that happen to him.
No. There are players who have given better parts of their career to your team. And I understand the NFL is a cutthroat league and money's good and all that, but to create a winning culture and a locker room where other guys want to come and compete for you, that's not the way to do it.
100%.
So we lost Austin Hooper. I'm a fan of letting him walk because I think Austin Hooper is really good, and I was a fan of him as a player, but I do not think he's worth max money. And to pay him
Where
max
do you go to
money, Cleveland to get
max?
paid the max. Good. Let them pay him the max, but I am a fan of Austin Hooper still. I'm gonna be cheering for him, just not for max money for my team.
Yeah, I liked Hooper a lot too. I thought he was dependable on the third down situations. He was good in the red zone, but I have a lot of people who don't like this. I like Hayden Hurst a lot.
Oh, I love Hayden Hurst. I
Dude,
thought we should have drafted him in the first round of 2 years ago.
Yeah, because I watched the Ravens play. I'm a big fan of Lamar Jackson, and I'm watching Hayden Hurst like, man, this dude is solid. He's just like Hooper, and I think he has a higher ceiling for way less money. I think that was a beautiful pick.
He's Hooper with maybe not as good route running, but way better run blocking, way better pass blocking.
Yep.
And I think he's a better athlete.
He fits us better.
Way better.
And he's got longer hair.
Way
Even
better. Way better.
Yep.
I think that the way that Dirk Cutter likes to run that single tight end formation, because I'm not mad at what Austin Hooper did, because Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland loves to run a lot of 12-man personnel, 2-3 tight ends on the same line. We don't do that as much as anybody else. So Austin Hooper, we didn't really need him. He's a really good pass-catching tight end, and he's really good at getting open for Matt Ryan on third downs and in crunch time. But I think that Hayden Hurst is just as good as he is, but with better blocking schemes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he can catch the ball just as well and get up and get the passes. And his blocking is going to help with Gurley and even Brian Hill, who I really like.
Yep. We lose Devondre Campbell, goes to the Arizona Cardinals for close to max money, and I was a big fan of letting him walk. A lot of Falcons fans love Devondre Campbell, but the guy can't cover. He misses a lot of hits because he's a big hitter. I think that he is a good run-stuffing linebacker, and that's about it. For him to go to Arizona and get that bag, cheers for him. Hey, cool beans, but no way that we would have given him anywhere close to that amount of money.
Well, and it makes me curious if the Falcons have like a somebody that negotiates these deals for these departing Falcons. Like, I wonder, how are these Falcons able to go get this max money?
Like, are we that stingy? Are we that stingy to where, like, we actually have good players, but we've been conditioned to think that we don't because the Falcons won't pay them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about that just as you are. I want to know how they're able to get this money and go and just get the bag like that. It's crazy.
It's especially for a player like Devondre Campbell, who, if you're not from Atlanta, you probably don't know who he is. And the NFL is an extremely smart league, especially with fans. On defenses, guys seem to pick out guys from other teams and kind of cheer for them. I don't know anybody who was a Devondre Campbell fan, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't. I couldn't find one.
So I'm kind of glad that he left and didn't hold us hostage over the bag. One person that I am kind of sad about leaving, and this is not for on the field, this is just in my heart, Vic Beasley. Vic Beasley is from our county. He played sports in the same rec department we did growing up. Drafted by his hometown team, played at Clemson. My parents' new house in Pine Log is about 10 minutes from where he grew up in Adairsville. So I was sad to see him leave, but I am glad to see him get a situation like the Tennessee Titans where they put an emphasis on defense. Mike Vrabel was a defensive genius. So I hope we get to see him go back to double-digit sacks.
I guarantee that Vrabel's going to get good production out of him, and I'm with you. I was sad. I like Vic Beasley. In parts of me think that he wasn't utilized properly in that last season.
He wasn't.
Like, I just think they were dropping him back in coverage. That's not what he does.
No.
And I don't like how they used him, and I think they kind of gave up on him too soon.
They did.
And then when he started picking up in the second half, it was already too late.
And that was Dan Quinn's first draft pick ever as the Falcons head coach. So I can understand why he held on to him for as long as he did. Hell, people don't disrespect Vic Beasley. He led the league in sacks his sophomore year in the league. Yeah. It was dropping him in coverage, playing him in weird spots. I think Vic Beasley is the kind of guy for 3 downs in a row, let him pin his ears back, and let him speed rush the quarterback. Because we have interior pressure. Getting interior pressure has never been the Falcons' problem. Grady Jarrett and Deidron Sanat and Jack Crawford did a decent job of getting inside pressure last year. We just couldn't have anybody that finished on the quarterback. So I'm sad to see Vic Beasley go. I knew that we weren't going to sign him to any sort of money deal, that if he wanted to come back to Atlanta, it would be as close to the vet men as possible. We've already talked about Wes Schweitzer. Adrian Claiborne goes to the Browns on a swingman deal. And our man Jack Crawford, the British mixed guy, goes to the Titans and joins Vic Beasley. So, we lost a lot of guys, but we also filled in a lot of holes too. That's why I'm overall glad at the Falcons offseason. And I was feeling a whole lot better about the Falcons offseason before the Tampa Bay Buccaneers started wilding out.
Yeah.
I was feeling real good until then.
Yeah.
So, Devin, let's talk about next year a little bit. We've talked about who we've gained, who we've lost. We signed a lot of guys out of the XFL. Not really quite sure how that's going to go. So, we're holding judgment until we see XFL and the NFL. Overall, before we talk about record or anything, what are your expectations as a Falcons fan this year?
So, perfectly said by you. Before the Buccaneers sort of wilding out with Brady,
Gronk,
and then they got Tristan Wirfs, who I love.
That was the best pick of the first round, in my opinion.
Yeah, that dude's a beast, man. And I think.
And then just as well as anybody else, these world-class wrestlers. These grapplers, they make the best O-linemen because the hand combat is the technique is so crisp.
They're so big up and strong up top. They're Greco-Roman. Their hands are so good. I mean, it adds a great dimension to you. I mean, look at Roddy White was a 2-time wrestling champion. He was great. Yeah. And so I love that. And it made me think, man, it's just the Falcons just don't. And I would have blamed them for even going that route. I know it's not a team need.
I would have picked them. I would
pick him over Matt Hennessy. I thought
Yeah.
that dude was just. I mean, he'd be a starter day one, and he would save Matt Ryan. He got hit. What, Matt Ryan got hit 44 times last year?
I thought it was closer to 60, like 57.
Oh,
we were tied. There were 3 quarterbacks that got hit that many times, and it was Kyler Murray of the Cardinals. It was either Phillip Rivers or Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So it was one of those two guys, but we all had, but we all had like 60 sacks last year, which was fucked up.
Yeah, I remember when Cam Newton was getting hit so much in 15 or 16 or 17, and everybody was like, "Get him some help." He only got sacked 44 times, but he was getting hit. Same thing with Matt Ryan. I mean, how do you expect Matt Ryan to put 30 points up when he doesn't have any protection? But I forgot your question. The expectation for the season. I think if the O-line in the second year, if McGarry and Lindstrom and maybe Matt Hennessy at left guard, the left tackle, really start gelling together. Dirk Cutter in his second year maybe puts it on. Raheem Morris in his first year. My expectations is really, really high for the Falcons, especially in this loaded division. I think with the loaded division, you'll be battle tested in the playoffs if we can get there.
Yes, you will. So the offense now, every single player who will be playing as long as Hennessy doesn't start, every single player that's playing for the Falcons on offense, all 11 starters are first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
So we have 11 starting first-round draft picks playing for our offense. There should be no excuses. The line has been a question for the Falcons forever. The only year that we had a good line was the Super Bowl year, and then Chris Carpenter retired and fucked up the whole rotation. I think that as long as the offensive line can generate some sort of run blocking, just any bit at all, any bit more than we've had in years past, we will be it will be a mega improvement.
Yeah.
Because as much as we like to sit here and dog on Devontae Freeman, if there's no holes, he can't hit them.
100%.
I mean, when we're running the ball 15 times a game and having to pass for 40 times a game, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, I remember the game last year against where Matt Schaub had to start against the Seattle Seahawks. I was in Biloxi, Mississippi at the casinos.
Yep.
Matt Schaub threw the ball 50 times. No fucking wonder we lost that game because Matt Schaub threw the ball 50 times.
Yeah. Stats looked great for him.
He was like 38 for 50, which is he played like a really good game, had like 3 touchdowns. But the fact that he threw the ball 50 times and we could generate no run game for him is disgusting. It's an absolute travesty.
Yeah. And you know who I'm looking out for is that Laquan Treadwell from Minnesota. I know he was considered a first-round bust by them. I think he'll have good production in Atlanta. I think we'll do really well by him. And I think if he steps up with a Calvin Ridley really getting more efficient with his route running, Julio Jones is always a beast. The pass blocking, the run blocking, you get Hayden Hurst plugged in to help Todd Gurley. There's no excuse that we can't make a run this year.
No, there's not. The offense is too good not to perform. The trenches are one thing, but the offense has talent. The skill positions have talent.
Yeah.
The running back position is a bit of a question mark, but I think Brian Hill has an upward trajectory. I like Brian Hill.
I like how he cut. He's like a DeAndre Swift in the NFL. He cuts really well.
Yep.
I like him a lot, and he's smart. He's a really smart runner.
Yes, he is. The defense. Talent-wise, the defense definitely got worse in the offseason. But we got younger, we got hungrier, and we
faster.
And faster. So we're getting to Dan Quinn's actual fellas. We're getting to the team that he wants to field. Do you think the offense or the defense will be improved from last year, or do you think it got worse?
I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I really don't know. I don't see how they're going to generate a difference in the pass rush.
There is none. We lost bodies on the defensive line, and we only have 4 defensive tackles going into camp.
Yeah, I'm looking on the lookout for maybe a big free agent that they could sign in.
I'm glad you said that. So our money situation, with that in mind, our money situation is after we sign the draft class. I know Julio saved us about $6 million by restructuring, and Matt does it every year. So I think we have about $12 to $15 million to play with.
I mean, I would if I was, and I'm not Thomas Dimitroff, and I think he has always been really good at finding value in drafts and finding.
I like
players.
Dimitroff. My gripe is Quin's fast and physical guys really took Dimitroff, because Dimitroff is from the Patriot system. He was the GM of the Patriots for a few years and was their draft guru. So I think that he's really good at finding value in drafts. Look at Devontae Freeman and Grady Jarrett, 4th and 5th round picks. So he finds that value in drafts, and he addresses needs, and he finds good talent. But this is kind of out of his element a little bit.
Oh yeah, and I'm with you. I think that's why we see a little bit of the confusion and the identity issue. Mm-hmm. It starts from the top. Mm-hmm. And if I as a Falcons fan, I'm hoping that they go and we need a pass rush. And I know in our system, and a lot of NFL experts believe you start in the line to create the pass rush. The Belichick system, they like to start from the secondary. Mm-hmm. Different rules of thinking.
Sacks. Make the quarterback hold the ball for so long, any pass rush could get him.
And I lean that way a little bit. I think that makes a lot of sense.
The last half of the year, that's exactly what we did. That's exactly how it worked out.
And I think that's how Raheem Morris is probably going to sneak it in and would like to see it. So if we could maybe go find a cornerback and sign one for maybe an average, maybe we go get a really good cornerback that's available. I would not see an issue with that, even though we drafted one. But I think AJ Terrell's a project and work. I don't think he starts day one and makes.
Do I dislike AJ Terrell? No. Do I dislike where the Falcons picked him at? Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I like Sheffield. I think Sheffield's going up and coming. I think he'll be great. If Neal stays healthy and just stays on the field for 12 games, maybe 13, 15 games. Ricardo Allen's been really good, rock solid. I think the secondary can be improved. There's good depth, but I would love to see them go after one more free agent in the secondary, or maybe just create a pass rush and add to Dante Fowler. I think Dante Fowler is going to be great, but Tack McKinley's got to step up too. This is his third year.
This is the make or break year for him. They will cut him on his rookie deal if he does not perform this year.
He has to, and he's the big question mark for me on that line right there. And if he doesn't pan out, we got to find a replacement and get somebody in there.
So we've already talked about our expectations for a few players. Who are you most bummed about losing?
I would say I'm more. I like Desmond Trufant a lot.
Me too.
I was
bummed
about bummed losing him because I think what was his deal? What did he get?
So he ended up getting, I think, 3 years around 25, 26 mil from the Lions, which isn't the Brinks truck. It isn't the bag, but I think they overpaid for him.
I do too. I think if we could have negotiated with him a little, maybe I'm sure they did. For veteran minimum, he probably just wanted the money, but I was sad about that one. I like Desmond. I mean, I have 3 jerseys of his, so that's what I want.
He's a very good coverage cornerback. He's a little bit. He's not very bulky, and he can't really tackle, but he does seem to have a nose for the football.
Oh, he's a ball hawk.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I was sad about that one, and I was sad about Hooper, but I really do believe Hayden Hurst is just a great pickup. My favorite. Probably my favorite offseason move was the Hurst move, and I'm really looking forward to him, and especially with the O-line getting better, and I anticipate, and he's going to have a great quarterback behind him, just like Lamar Jackson was, but I think Matt Ryan's a better thrower of the football, obviously, so Hayden Hurst is going to really enjoy that.
So, especially with Dirk Cutter being really tight end friendly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of debate about this right now, and this is a question that I've been asking every team on my podcast. Is the NFC South the best division in football? Is it the most competitive division in football?
I think so. I used to think that the NFC North was a pretty strong division with Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. Minnesota and Green Bay have been fighting. I don't know what happened to the Bears. I figured Mitchell Trubisky was going to go on a downward spiral.
I didn't think he was going to be this bad.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be solid, and I think, they're kicking themselves in the foot for not drafting any of the other guys. But
Mahomes,
I used to think they were pretty strong, but I think hands down NFC South is the year we had 3 in the playoffs.
Yep,
was like, man, this is a talented division. But now you have 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I think Matt Ryan can still make it to the Hall of Fame one day.
He will. the fact that he won an MVP award really bodes well for him.
Yeah, and so we have 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and let's not sleep on Teddy Bridgewater. Huge fan, high character. I think he's what he did for the Saints as a backup was great. He did great in Minnesota. I think we have the best division in football, hands down.
Hands down, it's not even close. Having said that, I think that there will be 4 competitive teams in the division this year. I do not think that Carolina will be taking the traditional rebuilding route. I think that they will remain competitive with Matt Rule. That offense will be really good, especially with adding Robbie Anderson and guys like that. But talking about the NFC South, do you think the Falcons make the playoffs?
I do. I am a little optimistic about it, just for the fact that I think that you just can't miss the playoffs with this team. And I feel like there's a fire definitely under Dan Quinn and Thomas Demetriou, but mainly Dan Quinn. And I really am putting all my cards on Raheem Morris. I think he's the question mark, but I feel comfortable. I mean, if I had to bet, if I had a 16 and the dealer had a 17, I would I'd hit. And I think Raheem Morris is gonna hit for us. And I really think he's gonna make the secondary better, the pass rush. If we can figure something out there, that's the tell sign. If we can get from 31 points allowed in our games and maybe just go to 20 and be a top 10 defense, the offense has no excuse but to ball out.
And I like what you said. It's not about us getting an elite defense. I know it seems that way because of how much we put on Dan Quinn, but we just need to be not 28th in the league. We just need to be around 15 to 10.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't need to be a top 5. If we would have had a top 15 defense last year, we would have made the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to be have a Jaguars defense they had a few years ago, or the Minnesota Vikings, or even a Patriots. It just got to be better than half the
serviceable defense.
That's it. Just stop in the crucial moments. Sack the quarterback in the fourth quarter when they try to make a comeback. That's it. And I think Raheem Morris has proven he can do it. Let's hope he can reestablish that for this 2020 season.
I have the Falcons in my record prediction at 10-6, sneaking into the 5th, 6th, or 7th wild card. What do you think?
I think it's 9 or 7 to 10-6. I think a wild card spot is definitely doable because last year I had the anticipation that they would be a 12-4 team. I mean,
the schedule was pretty east. The schedule was pretty easy last year.
It was super easy. I mean, we should have blew out Tennessee and the Cardinals and who else? There was another.
We had the Rams at home who weren't good last year. We had the Tennessee Titans at home. A lot of the tough games that we did have, with the exception of probably the 49ers game, we played all our tough games at home. Yeah.
And those are the games we lost, and I was just so
embarrassingly lost.
And the Arizona game was a heartbreaker. I mean, that happened to Matt Bryant was just terrible. But no, I had high hopes last year, and this year I'm going to be a little bit more realistic. I really think that, I really think that a 9-7, 10-6 is very doable, and it should be, and that's going to be my expectation for the future.
Yeah, I think so. Let's go over the schedule. We don't have the actual schedule yet. We just have home and away opponents. We have our 3 home division games: Carolina, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. And then we host Chicago, Detroit, Denver, Las Vegas, and Seattle. That is an extremely easy home schedule. If you cannot go above 500 at home, there is something wrong.
There's a problem. I look at that Detroit team. There's a lot of dysfunction with Matt Patricia, head coach. You're seeing all these reports come out about the secondary players really don't like him.
Yep.
I think you're going to see they might begin another rebuild here soon if he doesn't get it together. That should be an easy win. Chicago, we don't know what they are. And then we have our Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Carolina teams.
And then I hate to say this, but we should sun the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. Those should be just a 2-0 stretch.
Yeah, and Seahawks is always a good battle, but the Vegas Raiders they've had great drafts the last 3 years. I think they're still 2 to 3 years out before they really start competing. Mm-hmm. So we need to take advantage of that. I'm with you. And then looking at that away schedule,
3 division games, and then we get Dallas, Green Bay, Kansas City, LA, and Minnesota. That is a very hard away. That's a very hard away schedule. I mean, yes.
I might even try to go to the Kansas City game. I have to go to the Arrowhead Stadium.
I would love to go to Arrowhead because, with our Braves getting fucked on the Tomahawk Chop, that's the only way that you can do the Tomahawk Chop anymore is going to a Kansas City Chiefs game.
Oh, it's done. They didn't. I went to that game where they got blown out. You know, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me. I go to these Super Bowls. I go to these
big playoff games is bad
we
luck
just get
for you.
destroyed. Yeah, and I'm sitting there, and I walk in. The game started. It's the first inning. Me and my buddy walk in. I sit down, and oh wow, there's 5 home runs. 5 runs.
Oh shit! How did they do that?
I just sat down, and I remember in the ride there, they took the tomahawk chop away, and we couldn't do it. And I was like, what? You know,
we're not going to get political.
Yeah.
I am a very PC person. I am what you would call probably socially liberal because of the way that I think people should be treated. I think
100%.
that's a bit OD to take away the tomahawk chop. I really respect what Ryan Hensley said because he's an actual registered member of the Cherokee Nation. That's the only reason that I haven't written off his opinion yet. I think his opinion is worth listening to, but one player's opinion shouldn't take away the tomahawk chop.
Yeah, I just thought there was a lot of history there in the stadium.
If we were making fun of Cherokee Indians, that would be one thing. But we're literally the Braves, the Warriors of the Tomahawk Nation. Like, that's like it's not like we're taking their culture and trying to smash it in the dirt or anything. We're honoring the culture.
Well, and that's how I felt. I feel like having the Redskins, the Chiefs, like the Braves, all these other organizations deeply rooted in history. You know, there's not. We won't get on that, but I think having these organizations named after some of these historic civilizations and these Indians is actually a very good thing to keep them top of mind.
It brings awareness because if there are people who forget these nations even exist.
100%.
So to have Braves, Redskins is kind of a weird name.
Top of mind.
But it keeps those groups of people in your head that they exist and they deserve our mind. Our minds are the space in our minds.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that.
So, Devin, the last question I'm going to ask you, we've drafted, we've brought in undrafted free agents. The free agency period is not over until I think the middle of June. I'm not really good with financials in the NFL, but what is our biggest position of need going forward until training camp?
I think I got to stick with getting a pass rush. I mean, I don't even know if we might even need a linebacker still. I don't know about I don't even know
Michael
Walker. Yeah. I don't know about him. That's the Fresno State kid, right?
Yep.
I think he's a big question mark. He's a developmental project.
It's a project.
We have Deion Jones, who is always rock solid, but I really think we need one big piece, either an edge rusher or a cornerback as our needs. And if I'm Thomas Dimitroff, I'm looking at those, and I don't understand the financial aspects of that, but if we can land a solid player or maybe 2 average players just to get some depth that are veterans who can be leaders in the locker room for these young guys, because we got a really young secondary.
Yes.
Maybe that's what we need is just some veteran contracts with these guys to lead the way. That's why I hated Desmond Trufant leaving.
Because you could throw him in there and he's serviceable. Even when the defense was bad, he was still a serviceable player.
Yeah, he's still there, putting in production and making it hard for the offense to even get anything on him.
So I think that we should try to get some defensive tackle depth, or I'm with you, somebody in the secondary to take some pressure off of these young kids.
Yeah.
Go spend $8 or $9 million of the 12 that you have. Keep a little rainy day fund for injuries, but go spend $8, $9, $10 million on somebody who is good, who hasn't been signed yet, who's a chip on their shoulder, 1 year, 2 year deal, just like the Braves did with Josh Donaldson. You know, like make these guys earn the next contract. That's something that we don't see in the NFL too much, and that's the way I think we should go. But Devin, I really appreciate you coming on. An hour of Falcons content is my favorite content to make. I can talk about the Falcons all damn day. I'm missing the season. I would gladly watch a Falcons 0-16 season before I watch no Falcons football at all. So I really appreciate you coming on. Plug yourself before we go. Tell us where to find you at on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey guys, so I'm mainly on Instagram right now. You can follow me at thedevinwills.com. That is DEVINWILLS. Don't take the .com one there.
.com.
That's it.
Devin, thank you so much for coming on. My name is Cohen Hughes. You can find me on Instagram. I'm kind of like Devin. I'm mostly on Instagram. Twitter too many negative opinions are on
Too
Twitter.
much.
It's just
Too
too much
political.
negativity around even positive posts. So you can
Yeah.
find me on Instagram at Cohen_Hughes. Add me on Facebook at Cohen Hughes. You can also join the Daily Degenerate Sports Shit Talk group on Facebook. It's a private group. We got like 1,600 people in it right now. Hit me up. We'll put you in there. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been, I think, the 5th of the season previews that we have done. Atlanta Falcons. Like, subscribe, rate, follow us, whatever millennials do nowadays. Do that to us. Thanks so much for listening. Let us know what you think. Peace.